Well, greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Creating Conditions module. We wanted to offer a couple framing thoughts and a little bit of context as you start into this module. So we're coming off of the Anthropocene module, which has been a chance to go really big and explore enormous questions about scale and time and space. And many of you in your posts began asking questions and exploring how one can stay attuned to and aware of some of these large scales while still being able to find our immediate and appropriate place in the way that we show up every day in our lives. And this is a module that is intended to help us go from the big back to our appropriate scale as a detail of the whole.
And that process can be destabilizing, unsettling, unnerving for some, and it can be completely expansive and clarifying for others. So many of you have been exploring some of the ways that you say centered in the midst of all of that without turning from the complexity, chaos, and mystery of all of it.
So we wanted to talk a lot during this module and begin to explore collectively what it means to be centered. That's going to be one of the core questions we explore a lot during this module. And by centered, we wanted to say a few things about what we mean when we use that language. So for us, centered is very similar to that practice that we talk about around integrity. It's about being in integrity with our core principles, with our values, with that sense of being in our strength and being able to meet whatever happens in the moment. That feels really different to each person. So what it means to feel centered will be something that we're going to collectively invite ourselves to remember and tap into. And we're going to talk a lot about how some of the forces that exist in the world have the potential to knock us off center, and how critical it is to be able to return to center as the beginnings of how we show up in the world and the leadership that we want to bring into the world. So this is actually part of a larger arc where we're going to be exploring eventually cosmologies and design, remembering that all the change that we create in the world is reflective of the internal conditions we create in ourselves. So before we start to really get to design, we want to really hone our ability and practice to stand in our strengths, to find our center, regardless of the external conditions that we find ourselves in.